Hey guys, last time we chatted about customer experience, we said that we're going to do a three-part series.
Maybe four-part?
Maybe four-part, maybe 20, I don't
Yeah.
know. We're just going to keep talking about this stuff until we get it all out there because there's a lot of really good stuff. So last time we talked about understanding the experience from the customer's point of view. And a lot of people want to talk about, the customer themselves. We're going to spend all this time and energy just focusing on, how do we make the customer's experience better? Well,
one of the biggest ways is by making your employees' experience better.
Yeah.
So employees who are having great experience, who are feeling heard at work, engaged, their needs are being met, they automatically and kind of just by default have a tendency to provide better customer experience because they're feeling fulfilled at work, and that just comes across to the customers.
Yeah. Well, if your customers if your employees aren't feeling the love, they're coming in and they're carrying out their work. Like you said, they're not engaged. They're definitely not necessarily advocates for you.
No.
If they're having a bad day and nobody's paying attention to that, they'll get in shit from their boss.
Right. Which just makes it worse.
Which just compounds.
Yeah.
And then things just snowball from there, and the person that suffers at the end is the customer,
well, because
and the employee, and the business.
Exactly. The level of care, when they're serving that customer, if they're feeling like, well, this company doesn't care about me, it's really asinine for a company to believe if the employee doesn't feel like the company cares about them, that the employee will still highly care to the level that the company wants them to about the customer.
Yeah, well,
that's a broken link that just doesn't work.
Well, and I think a lot of times too, businesses miss the mark where they expect employees to have the same level of give a shit as the owners.
Yeah.
And economically, it's not even the same thing.
It's not feasible,
it's not their company.
Right. And some employees do. Some employees are amazing and they do treat a company that is not their own, that they're not being compensated like an owner or like a partner, and they will treat the customers like their own. But
to a point.
But if that continues to go unnoticed for an extent of time, that employee is going to move on to a different company where they can treat the customers like their own and be compensated by the company for doing so.
Absolutely. So the employee experience, if you're going to spend some time and energy on something that actually is going to create this trickle effect, they're also customers in a lot of cases, probably most cases. Your employee is also a customer for your business. So
they're also your marketing.
Absolutely.
They are your walking marketing.
Yeah.
Your marketing team may not be pushing out your employees, but your employees they can be the best marketing you have, or they can be the worst marketing you have. Yeah. It depends on how they're being treated.
And we've been around this a lot where, the cost of hiring a new employee, onboarding somebody, the time it takes, and then on the flip side of that, when an employee leaves, all of the things involved with that. Like I said, it's extremely time consuming, it's extremely expensive. And that has a massive disruption to the customer experience. So that in itself, you have this honeymoon stage. You love somebody when they come in, and then because you don't put time and energy into the relationship, it gets stagnant, and then they want to leave. Or worse yet, they leave mentally, but they don't physically leave.
They're physically still there.
And now they're a drain because they show up to work, but they're not engaged, and they're just going through the motions.
They're
touching every one of your customers, not literally, metaphorically, because I think touching customers is probably a bad thing. Depends on the line of work that you're in. But if you're neglecting them, they're going to neglect your customers because they feel neglected, and they feel in a lot of cases betrayed. So employee experience, really spending a lot of time on figuring out what do your employees value, engaging them, getting their ideas, helping them build your value proposition, working with them to uncover what they like to do outside of work.
Yeah, getting to know them as humans,
People.
as individuals.
Yeah.
You know, and finding out what's important to them and what drives them, and connecting that back to the company, makes them feel like it's part of their own. It's part of them.
Yeah.
You know, simple things that can be done that don't necessarily involve just throwing money at your employees. Because even that, to an extent, it works until it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like that, no amount of money at some point, people are just gonna walk away.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, money does not necessarily buy that loyalty
No.
and engagement. It placates people for a period of time.
It might buy longevity, but it's not necessarily buying.
It's not sustainable,
Yeah.
and you know, and the companies that get this right, the ones that do the best job of employee engagement, I mean, those employees are happy. They're telling everybody about it.
Yeah.
They're telling all their friends. You can see it in their face when you show up at the place of work. You know, they just love being there. There's a purpose behind what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, they feel like they're part of something.
Totally.
And people want to be a part of something. That's part of that whole
Yeah, we're not even getting into that on this
But I'm
culture
just saying-
community conversation.
Yeah, but I mean, people want to be a part of something.
Yeah.
You know, an engaged employee wants to be a part of a company's
Yeah.
success because it's also their success.
Yeah. And so leaders, you need to be authentic. You need to be vulnerable. You need to show that, you know, that there is no perfection out there. You need to talk to them often about what makes them tick. And you need to do it in that authentic, genuine fashion.
Right.
You can't fake that shit. People will see right through that. And you need to make sure that you engage them for their ideas, and then you help them implement those ideas, the ones that make sense, and the ones that don't make sense or maybe don't work, you coach them on it. You help them understand, you know, what other avenues might exist, but that's still engagement because you're showing that you care and you're developing them. So that is the probably, prior to our series 1 on this, the most fundamental thing in enhancing your customer experience is getting your employee experience nailed. And you probably have to do this concurrently. You should be doing this concurrently because it's not a static moment in time. You just go and get to develop all these people over here, and then we'll open the doors, and then because life happens.
It's a forever process too.
Absolutely.
It's not a, well, okay, we did the employee experience, so now we've got that down, so we just keep doing that same thing forever. It's like that changes. It changes as your company grows. It changes as your employees grow. So that has to be constantly a top of mind.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're gonna cap it right there. Stay tuned. In our next video, part 3, we'll talk a little bit more about some of the things that will also help elevate customer experience. Cheers.
Thanks.